Hello friends, how you doing? Hope you're well. So I'm just here, I'm set up for a shoot and the client's a bit late, so I thought I'd use this time to share some reflections. It's a pretty basic principle really, but it's something that I saw recently that really got me thinking. And it was a clip of James Cameron, director James Cameron, who of course we all know as the director of blockbuster films such as Avatar, Terminator 2, Aliens, The Abyss, and of course Titanic. And he's on this show with Howard Stern, and he said something which really made me pause. He talks about how he proposed the budget for Titanic, $250 I think, and then he went over budget. And as a result of that, when he finished the film, he went to the studio and said, look, I gave you my word. I told you the budget was going to be this much and inflated to double. Here's my salary, I don't want it back anymore. I refuse to take any money for this film. Now, in retrospect, Titanic is the highest grossing film of all time. The highest grossing film of all time. Or at least at one point it was the highest grossing film of all time. I'll put the exact numbers on the screen right here. This is how much it has earned to date. So that basically means that the director who made the highest grossing film of all time refused to get paid because he preferred to stick to his word. He decided that his word is more valuable than the payment he's receiving. He told the studio, I told you, I gave you a promise, I gave you my word. And unfortunately that did not work out, so I'm no longer taking the money to ensure that we stay within or as close to the budget I gave you as possible. What's also interesting is that when Howard Stern presses him on this, he says, well, it depends, in retrospect, it depends what you consider valuable. Do you consider money to be valuable? Or do you consider ownership and authorship of the most profitable film of all time to be valuable? Of one of the most celebrated films of all time to be valuable? This made me think a lot. Because unfortunately, in our industry, for those of you who know, for those of you who are fellow freelance videographers and cinematographers and directors, you know it's a very volatile industry, especially if you're freelancing. It's very volatile. And unfortunately, more often than not, it's very hard sometimes for potential clients to see the value that you provide. Despite the fact that we all know that video right now is probably of the most valuable commodities in this day and age. Despite the fact that we know that video right now can take clients' businesses from here to about God knows where. Also, of course, we know how expensive equipment is because this is ultimately industry designed for Hollywood and businesses and channels who have millions of dollars in budget and revenue. So sometimes as a freelancer, you can get caught in the chase. You can get caught in trying to chase that money. Not that you're chasing money, but that you're just ensuring that you have enough money to keep yourself fed. You have enough money to keep your business growing. You have enough money to enjoy life, essentially, because you don't have a salary coming in, so you're ultimately trying to build that salary through pitching people, etc. But I think what watching this clip really made me remember is that sometimes you can get lost in the business aspect of it and you can forget the reason why you're doing this, the reason why I'm doing this, which is not ultimately to make money. It is to tell stories. It is to live a life of storytelling. It is to live a life of doing what you love, whatever form that may be in. Of course, I'm not here directing Hollywood movies, but it's the same principle. You're going to clients, you're going to businesses, the documentaries that I make, I'm here to tell stories. I'm here to tell a client's story. I'm here to tell business' story. I'm here to use my expertise to help uplift businesses, to help tell stories within businesses, in whatever shape or form that might look like. And of course, I'm not saying that I'm going to be here doing videos for free, but what I'm saying is it's a shift in philosophy to remember that we're here ultimately as storytellers first, who are being properly compensated for that storytelling, rather than being a business who is chasing money and then just looking for the next client. This clip is also, more importantly, an affirmation for me of a value and a philosophy that I try to stick to all the time, which is the philosophy of sticking to your word. Unfortunately, in this industry, I see that a lot. I see people that don't stick to their word, from things to as very minuscule as promising to call back or get back to you, or to things that are even worse than that, like for example not sticking to a contract agreement, or for example not sticking to paying on time. And in juxtaposition to that, we have here James Cameron, one of the greatest directors of all time, refusing to be paid for his movie that was at one point the most profitable movie of all time, refusing to be paid because he decided that his word is more valuable. And that, I think, is the second most important point to remember, is the value of our word, the value of sticking to our word. I myself try my best, no matter what it costs me, to stick to my word. And I think the value of the word, of giving a word, is something I realized very early on in my career. I remember one of my first jobs that I had as a freelancer was a video project for a client, and I really messed it up. I messed up the lighting, it didn't look good, it was very dark, it just wasn't really acceptable. But they took it, they paid me for it, and we parted ways after that. I got a call from this client a few months later saying, we've tried to launch a second video project, and we've tried to work with, I think it was 3 or 4 different videographers, all of whom have given us their word, given us deadlines, and then have dropped off. Either they've turned around and cancelled, or they've not stuck to their word when it comes to timing. Therefore, we are coming to you because we know we can trust you. And that's really when I realized how valuable the word is, because the video project I gave for them last time wasn't good enough. It was not good enough by any stretch of the imagination. But they were willing to use me again because despite that, they trusted me. And I think that's when it really hit home that people value word and trustworthiness over everything else. If you're trustworthy, if people know they can rely on you, if they can rely on you to deliver their work on time, if they can rely on you to communicate properly what you're going to give them, then that relationship becomes a very valuable one. And yeah, I just want to jump in here and share those thoughts. I hope they hit home. And I'm sorry if this video was a bit all over the place. But yeah, thank you for watching. Goodbye.